light and the insurer. But I could not. It's just starting to escalate. I did find out my T 77 in a 3.5 week period. All of these doctors are going to tell you that watch these and have the virus, they're going to tell you that you will only lose at most 50 T cells in a 1 year period. Well, that may be fine and good for some people. I don't think it's the norm by any stretch of the imagination. I had them tested back in November. Yeah, it was November, the first week of November. So in a 4 week period, I've lost 100. I have to tell you, I wasn't expecting it. I was not expecting it. I kind of figured probably good until summer when I would be losing it down. It doesn't appear it's going to be that way. Troubles breathing and chest x-rays, of course, for your PCP. Please, everybody who's out there supporting me, support the fact that I would really like to have the pneumonia. I think that would be one of the easiest ways. I don't want to have a stroke. I don't want to have any of those grand mal seizures, all that other crap that you can get. I don't want to end up still alive, is what I'm saying, and be a burden on everybody, because I went through that with my mother and her aneurysm, and that's exactly how she felt, like she was a burden to me. And that is the worst feeling in the world, to think that your mother thinks she's a burden. I mean, especially if I'm close to her. I know there are people out there too. This is another one of my problems, and this is something else I wanted to address before it's too late. Is for those of you that have tumultuous relationships, and that's a nice way of putting it, with your family because of the fact you're gay or because of anything else, you it is such a difficult thing to do. But if I can try to make amends with my sister, who was not a nice person when I was a child, and there are some very, very detrimental memories that really patterned the course of my life, you have to try. I mean, I've always said that a mother's love is the only thing we need. It is the only thing we need. And for those of these people, my ex-boyfriend couldn't stand his mother, Michael Moe. He lives in Midland, Michigan, if you want to look him up. He's very cute. He hated his mother, to be honest, honey. He hated her. They were raised Catholic. Okay, so tell me he didn't have a lot of conflicts going on in his life. Number one, being gay, and number two, having a mother that hated him because he was. But at least if you try to smooth things over, or at least bring it to a new sort of relationship, it doesn't have to be a mother-son or a mother-daughter. It can be a different relationship. They gave you life, and they gave you life because they wanted to. I don't care if you were born in the 50s or the 40s, there was always a choice. They could have had an abortion in some back alley, but these people chose to have you. Now, I'm not saying there aren't some things that cannot be forgiven, i.e., sexual abuse. There's people that pimp their children out to pedophiles for money, for drugs. That sort of stuff is just unforgivable, and it is absolutely disgusting. So, in an instance like that, I would say, okay, that's it. I mean, but you need to also deal with it, people. You have to get in touch with what your feelings are, and that is what I think is wrong with the world, is nobody gets in touch with their true feelings. They go to therapy, but they tell the therapist exactly what the therapist wants to hear, especially if it's court mandated, which I've had several of those after, let's see, 14 suicide attempts, 9 of which should have been deadly. But for whatever reason, I was found. I was found by strangers, and of course, they saved me, which I was very bitter about. But now I get a chance to reflect and realize that I was saved for a reason because these all took place before my mother got sick. If I had not been around, I can't imagine what she would have ended up in a home the day after she got out of the hospital instead of in our home with me, her baby, taking care of her. And I could never have dealt with that because I do believe that people stay around, their energy, they stay around. They may not be able to express it all the time, but I've had many occasions where I have just felt my hair being rushed. My mom would always pet my head because she couldn't really control her muscles. And I can't tell you the number of times I go to bed at night when I have been had a really, really bad day emotionally and physically. And I feel her doing this. And it's the most wonderful feeling in the world. So I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. I don't want anyone to worry about me. You can be, I love the concern. These last few comments, especially from Rich. Rich, you are an amazing man that I feel like I've impacted some people's lives with my philosophies and my thoughts. And that's why I started doing this. I didn't do this to make people feel sorry for me. I wanted to really let people know that death is not something to be afraid of. It's just the next step up, and I really think it's going to be a better one because I ended up in the hospital with a severe dehydration. I had a mild heart attack, and I don't want to continue on like that because it's just going to be little by little by little. I want it to be quick and pretty much without emotion. I don't want any tears. I don't want any of this. I do everything in order now. My burial, my dog, my stuff. I've made a will, a real legalized will that cannot be contested at all. Because I do have some nice things. I have my big, beautiful 42-inch TV, which I splurged on, and uh, but it's still a strange feeling. I wasn't prepared for being below 100 T cells at the beginning of. I really wasn't. I really thought I had maybe 4 or 5 months before that was going to occur. So my lungs are getting worse, and like I said, they're not 100. They wanted to do a bronchioplasty where they stick that tube down your nose and into your, and you gag and you're semi-awake because you have to tell them, does this hurt? Does it, and I don't want to go through that. And as far as I haven't been able to swallow food, which is another first indicator of things going wrong, and they wanted to do a surgery to tack my esophagus down to my chest bone to keep it so it keeps from spasming, which is what is causing me to throw up when as soon as I eat. I can't even get it into my stomach, so it comes right back up. And I'm like, you know what? I don't. I'm not gonna go through somebody cutting my chest open, and I still have an infection from the port I had put in, and I know that's probably causing a lot of the T cells to disappear because my body's working so hard to get rid of that infection, and it's just not going away. And I know it's not gonna go away. But I woke up this morning, you guys, and I felt pretty good. I've been sleeping a lot, a lot. I have been sleeping for a minimum of 20 hours a day, and that's okay. I used to fight it. I used to sit here on the couch and just, I'd be like dozing off, and it's not worth it. Go into bed where I'm comfortable. I love my bed. Be comfortable. And